Good day and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I'm your host, the Voice of Reason. So in today's report covering the ongoing civil war that is taking place inside of Ethiopia, there continues to be heavy fighting reported on most fronts of the conflict. The heaviest fighting right now would appear to be occurring along the southern and central front, which would be from running from the offensive that is taking place for the town of Debark, and then further towards the southeast, centered on the town of Woldiya and areas west of that location as well. So right now we're hearing that there could be fairly significant fighting underway as the Tigrayan Defense Forces continue to clean up pockets of Amhara militia resistance inside of the town of Woldiya. It is reported that there has been cases in which the Tigrayan Defense Forces were required to utilize artillery to clean out some of these pockets of resistance, and we have heard reports of some heavy shelling in the vicinity of Woldiya, and we will continue to monitor that situation and confirm it as events warrant. But again, there does seem to be some fighting inside of the city as the Tigrayan Defense Forces look to move in and clean out any sorts of pockets of resistance that could interfere in its what would be defined in its rear area now. So I would say Woldiya is not a frontal zone of the conflict. That conflict has moved further south towards their next target, which would be a move south towards Dese. So having pockets of Amhara militia units inside of Woldiya that could start to pose a threat to supply lines and rear action activity would obviously be a threat to the further TDF operations in this area. And it would appear that the goal is to completely clean out any sort of resistance that could be inside of Woldiya. The operations also continue in the west as the TDF continues to push towards Debre Tabor with the ultimate goal of severing the major intersection of the 22 and number 3 highway, or the Warta junction as we know it. This would then give the option of the Tigrayan Defense Forces, and I've talked about this on previous videos, to start an advance towards Gondar, or possibly even an advance towards Bahir Dar. But again, we will have to see how events transpire before we kind of get to that situation. But again, it would appear right now the heaviest fighting is occurring on the Tigrayan Defense Forces march towards the town of Dese, and that could be close to resolving itself in the coming days. We will have to see, as these battles have been reported as fairly intense and ongoing. We have discussed the Afar region a little bit, but not a lot. And I wanted to reiterate that operation in the Afar region. Again, you have to understand that the Afar region is, and I'll just kind of zoom in here where everyone can see just how desolate it really is. And in this area here along Shifra was a major point of contention, and then obviously as we zoom in and we look, you can see that the landscape is sparse. There is very little human habitat in this area. So obviously the Tigrayan Defense Forces are not going to use tens of thousands of troops in an invasion of the Afar region it just cannot sustain the amount of supply that would be needed for that sort of operation. And there's really no need to seek a full win inside of the Afar region, other than to drive possible forces that were threatening the Tigray region away from the border of Tigray, and then possibly also go after some strategic assets such as road junctions and supply nodes and so forth and so on. But you're not going to do that with a massive force construct. The region is just not the type of area you would want to move large amounts of forces and commit yourself to basically conquering. So that is not what the Tigrayan Defense Forces are trying to do in the Afar region. They are not trying to occupy the entire Afar region. They're not trying to do anything of the sort. They're simply trying to deny the Ethiopian government access to supplies, just like the Ethiopian government is trying to deny humanitarian access to the Tigray region. So it's the same methodology, but just being conducted on a bit of a smaller scale in terms of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. The objective is not an absolute military victory in the Afar region, which would then require significant assets and manpower to continue to occupy the Afar region. I do not believe that is an objective, nor would it be a prudent objective for the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Hence, we do not see the amount of combat power in this area that we are seeing in other areas. And likewise, along the western front, towards the town of Amhara. Obviously, the Tigrayan Defense Forces could bring quite a bit of combat power into this area to seize control of the town and western Tigray. However, it is not doing that. It is focusing more on the southern front and the large-scale invasion of the Amhara region. And just again, a quick look at the western theater of operations, which would include the town of Amhara and other areas in western Tigray. Again, very flat, very wide open, very sparsely populated. The Eritrean army would have the ability to utilize its heavier formations in terms of utilizing tanks. We have also received reports that the Ethiopian army has in fact moved T-72 main battle tanks. They are positioned on the outskirts of Amhara. They would also work well in a haul down position, and they would be able to defend the city against any form of TDF attack that is coming from the east moving west. And it is optimal tank terrain. Some of the areas are, given the flat area of the terrain and the accesses of advance with the lack of road work and roadways, would provide these defensive formations great fields of fire against the Tigrayan Defense Forces as they moved from east to west. And that is something that the Tigrayan Defense Forces probably at this point has chosen not to expend great amounts of combat resources in militarily defeating the Eritrean army, the Ethiopian army, and the Amhara militias that are based in the west of the country. They have chosen to launch this operation into the Amhara region to then compel these forces that are in the west to then leave this area. And at a certain point, it is going to become so costly for the Ethiopian state, the Amhara region, as the Tigrayan Defense Forces continue to penetrate deeper and deeper into the Amhara region using its full combat capability, which we are aware that it is probably using in this offensive towards Gondar, Debre Tabor, and Dese. But that is currently where we stand. I would also like to just talk about the Oromo Liberation Army, the conflict that is going on in the Oromia region right now. I am attempting to compile some resources and information that I have received from sources, and I will be presenting a video later documenting what is occurring with the Oromo Liberation Army. I can tell you this, the OLA has become increasingly active given the situation in the north of the country. It would seem an opportune time for the Oromo Liberation Army to take action, and we've heard that several army camps of the Ethiopian military have been overrun, and the Ethiopian security forces in some of these areas has sustained very significant casualties as well. And those operations continue as we speak. But we will continue to monitor the situation. I will also focus on a report of the events that are taking place inside of the Oromia region, and specifically try and capture some of the events that are taking place with the Oromo Liberation Army in a future video, hopefully within the next 48 hours. But that's what we have for today, folks. Have a great day, and I will talk to everyone soon.